You cannot love what you refuse to see. So many of us spend our lives trying to outrun our shadows, denying our emotions, ignoring our traumas, hiding behind smiles. But healing doesn't happen in the hiding. It happens in the seeing. You have to look at yourself, your whole self, and say, I see you. I still choose you. Self-acceptance begins with self-honesty. You must acknowledge who you are, not who the world says you should be. Let me tell you something real. You cannot change what you refuse to confront. Self-acceptance doesn't start with Instagram quotes or weekend retreats. It starts with self-honesty. You've got to get real with yourself about who you are and what you're carrying. See, a lot of people want freedom, but they don't want truth. And freedom without truth is just fantasy. If you're walking around pretending to be okay, wearing a mask every day, you're not free. You're performing. And performances are exhausting. Psychologically, when you deny parts of yourself, your fears, your flaws, your regrets, you split your identity. That fragmentation creates emotional tension. You're constantly trying to hide parts of you from you. That's why some folks feel lost. It's not because they don't have purpose, it's because they don't have clarity. You can't know what's next for you if you don't even know who's showing up to the moment. Philosophically, look at it this way. The ancient Greeks carved "Know thyself" into the walls of the temple of Apollo. Thousands of years later, that wisdom still stands. Why? Because you cannot master what you have not met. You've got to meet your real self without judgment, without spin. Sit with the truth, even when it's ugly. That's where power begins. That's where acceptance begins. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be honest. Truth is the first step to freedom. Take it. Our story is not your shame. The things you've been through do not define your worth. Let me tell you something a lot of people need to hear. What happened to you is a part of your story, but it is not the definition of who you are. So many folks out here are walking around with this quiet belief that they are broken, that they're too far gone, too damaged to be worthy of love, success, or peace. And that's a lie, a flat-out lie. The truth is, your story is not your shame. It's your strength, but only if you learn how to own it. See, shame thrives in silence. The more you bury your past, the more power it has over your present. Psychologically, shame convinces you that because something happened to you, or because you made a mistake, you are fundamentally flawed. But let's be clear, there's a difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am something wrong, and that is dangerous. That mindset traps you. It keeps you small. Philosophically, think about this. Every hero's story includes a struggle. Every spiritual awakening is born out of a breakdown. So why do you think your story should be free from scars? The wound is not the enemy. It's the silence around the wound that keeps you from healing. Once you start speaking your truth, you take back the pen. You stop being the victim of your past and start becoming the author of your future. Your story doesn't make you unworthy. It makes you unstoppable. Forgiveness is a doorway to emotional freedom. Holding on to resentment, especially toward yourself, locks your soul in a cage. Let's get into something real. Forgiveness is not about weakness. It's about wisdom. Most people think forgiving someone means they got away with it, that they don't deserve it. But let me break it down for you. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's about freeing yourself from being emotionally handcuffed to what happened. Psychologically, When you hold on to anger, betrayal, or guilt, especially guilt toward yourself, it becomes emotional baggage. That baggage doesn't just sit quietly in your mind. It leaks into your relationships, your decisions, your health. You start walking through life with a defensive heart, waiting to be hurt again, even by people who didn't cause the original wound. That's what happens when you confuse protection with pain. Forgiveness is the only process that separates the two. Philosophically, think of it like this. The person who wronged you may never apologize. That apology may never come. Are you willing to let your joy be held hostage by someone else's silence? That's too much power to give away. When you forgive, especially when you forgive yourself, you take that power back. You say, this happened, but it will not define me. It will not own me. Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone what happened. It means you refuse to carry it any further. Let it go, not for them, but so you can finally breathe. Comparison is the thief of inner peace. Freedom comes when you stop measuring yourself against others and honor your own journey. Let me talk to you straight. Comparison is the fastest way to kill your joy and delay your destiny. It's one of the quietest emotional traps we fall into. You see someone else winning, someone else looking confident, getting married, buying the house, living the life, and suddenly you feel like you're losing. But here's the problem. You're measuring your life with someone else's ruler, and that ruler don't fit you. Psychologically, comparison creates a false narrative. It convinces you that your timeline is broken because it doesn't match somebody else's highlight reel. But people don't post their pain, they post their polished moments, and now you're out here judging yourself, worth against an illusion. That's not just unfair, it's destructive, because comparison doesn't inspire growth, it breeds resentment. And over time, resentment turns inward. Now you're questioning your value, your decisions, even your identity. Philosophically, ask yourself this. What if your life was never supposed to look like theirs? What if your journey was custom, built for what only you can do in this world? You don't have to run their race. You were never meant to. And if you keep chasing what's not yours, you'll miss what's already waiting for you. There is freedom in honoring your own path, even when it's slower, quieter, or different than what the world praises. You don't have to be better than anyone else. You just have to be true to who you are. Speak to yourself like someone you love. Inner dialogue shapes self-worth. Kind, truthful words are the foundation of emotional liberation. Let's be real. The way you talk to yourself determines how far you go in life. I'm not just talking about motivation. I'm talking about your internal wiring, the silent conversations that shape your identity. Most people are walking around with an inner voice that sounds more like a bully than a best friend. You're not smart enough. You always mess up. Nobody's ever gonna love you like that. Sound familiar? That's not just negative thinking, that's self-sabotage dressed up as honesty. Psychologically, your brain listens to your words. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between truth and repetition. The more you repeat something, the more it becomes your identity. So if all you feed yourself is criticism, doubt, and fear, that becomes the filter you see life through, and you wonder why you keep getting stuck. Philosophically, let's take it a step deeper. If your soul is a garden, then your words are the seeds. What are you planting every day? Are you growing weeds or are you growing worth? Most of us wouldn't speak to a friend the way we speak to ourselves. And yet, we expect to feel confident, whole, and emotionally free. It doesn't work like that. You can't shame yourself into self-love. You build it with kindness, truth, and consistency. Start treating yourself like someone who matters because you do. If your voice is the first thing you hear in the morning, make sure it speaks life. Healing is a daily practice, not a destination. Emotional freedom isn't a one-time moment. It's a consistent, conscious act of love and grace. Here's something I wish more people understood: healing is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. Some of y'all keep asking, why am I still feeling this way? I thought I was past this. Let me tell you why: because healing ain't linear. It's not a straight path where you hit a point and say, all right, I'm fixed now. Nah, it comes in waves. It's a daily decision. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days that old wound shows up like it never left. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. Psychologically, emotional healing takes time because your brain builds habits, mental, emotional, even spiritual patterns. You don't just snap out of trauma or unlearn 10 years of people pleasing overnight. You have to retrain your nervous system. You have to rebuild your beliefs, and that takes repetition, rest, and real work. Philosophically, think about it like this: healing is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, through boundaries, through journaling, through therapy, through solitude, the stronger it becomes. But ignore it too long, and the pain returns with more power. You can't outsource this work. No one can do it for you. But you can learn to carry it with grace. You can choose to show up for yourself even when it's uncomfortable. You don't heal once. You choose healing again and again. Freedom isn't found in the finish line. It's built in the daily fight to love yourself anyway.